See how it moves? Y'all see that? That's not good. What's going on, family? Man, I hope you guys are having an absolutely awesome day. Guess what we doing today? Yes, we're adding another mod to X5M. I got a name for the X5M and I definitely want to share with you guys. So y'all give me a minute, man. So after we put this on, we're gonna go ahead and put the name out there. But anyway, what are we doing? If you guys watched the live, thank you guys for hanging out with us at Bros and Cars. We're on every Tuesday from 7 until Central, that's 7 Central Time. And have a good time, laughs, and talk about cars. It's Bros and Cars, man, but we talk about everything, man. We just have a really, really good time. But on Bros and Cars, I actually shared this drive shaft. Shout out to my guy, Tony, man. I made sure I put a link to his channel down here. I learned about Tony from Eddie M. I'll make sure I put Eddie M information down there also. And one thing I learned about these when I do my research is that the factory forward drive shaft could have issues. One of the problems is that the BMW, this truck, man, it has a lot of torque and it causes a lot of problems. The factory drive shaft, and it's the forward drive shaft, and what happens is it wobbles. The factory one, the splines are shorter. And when I take it out, you guys will be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. This one actually comes a whole much more robust. It has serviceable joints and it's custom made by Tony from fulltorquedriveshafts.com. So you can't go to their website and get them. You have to reach out to Tony. Again, I'll put a link to his channel down in the description so you guys can see. So what does this do? In the event that we do add more power, we're going to make sure that we're adding or putting some preventive maintenance in place so we don't have problems in the future. This thing has, the factory drive shaft has been known to destroy transmissions, pans, and also destroy parts under the car. So what we're going to do, I've already broke out everything we need, the tools that we need to get this done. We got this big old thing off the ground. Man, let me tell you, not fun trying to figure out how to get this thing off the ground. Because I guess because I was going about it the hard way, I could have just jacked this thing up, left it alone and been done with it from the front. Center jack point, raise the whole front of the car, put the jack stands underneath. I don't know what I was trying with ramps and man, y'all don't mind me. So we're gonna get under this car. Let me show y'all what we're working with, man. So it's gonna be tight under here. So this is where we are. This axle is located on the driver's side of the car. So we got a couple of things we need to take off before we can get to this thing. We need to take off this pan, this heat shield, and then we got 4 bolts to take this out. And as you can see how it moves, y'all see that? That's not good. Because as this rattle, it causes stress on those joints. We're gonna fix that. We are going to remedy that. Yes, sir. So, all right, so I'm gonna start off with taking off this pan. Once we get this pan off, I'll show you guys where we are. And then we'll work our way down this process. I've been under here once. So I'm just kind of looking around, don't mind me. It looks nice under here. Oh, yeah, so just to let you guys know, this transmission, that transfer case, this thing will rattle and break out and will break this outside of the transmission. It can also break and shatter the transfer case. And it's been known also to break up here, wiggle off here, crack something on the bottom of the motor and cause oil leak, which, you know, starvation is a big issue. So we got to make sure that we can, let's preserve this monster as much as we can. Yeah, man. So this transfer case, this one here, this is where most of the time this thing shatters when this breaks off. So let's figure this out. Y'all give me a second. We're gonna get this a splash pan off first, and then we'll work our way around. Y'all give me just a second. All right, guys. So we got the 16 millimeter bolts out. And we remove that splash pan. The next thing we're going to do is work on these let's say these are 8 mil. We're gonna take those off so we can get that heat shield out the way. Give me just a second. All right, guys, so we got that little heat shield off. So we took off the heat shield. We also took the shield and the nuts, the bolts off around this little hose. So it gives us a little bit more access to this. So these were 10 mil and the heat shield was 8 mil for those who are looking at doing this. 10 mil and 8 mil, all right? So now we have to get at these young boats right here. We got 4 of those we need to take off. Let me go get what I need to get that done. And then we'll get those guys off. And then we'll slide this, show you guys how we get this drive shaft up out of here. Give me just a second. All right, guys, so we have the bolts broken on the drive shaft. And just a tip, you're gonna need something to brace this thing because it does rotate. So I'm just using my 10 mil right here, honestly, to hold it in place to keep it, but it's only to break the bolts. It don't take a lot for them to break, but it will rotate on you guys. So I'm going to take these out and I'll come back and show you guys how to get this thing out. All right, so we got the last bolt out. Let's see. Oh, that was really easy. That came out real simple, like. So now we just gotta jimmy this thing out and around this stuff, and yeah, see if we can figure this out. This is not easy. Well, one hand. Does this come out the way? Nope, this is all one piece. All right, let's see. Flip this down and rotate this. Let's see if we can get this out of the way. There we go. Y'all give me just a second. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, guys, so give me a second. This hose out the way. Let's get this off. Dust boot. All right, guys, so we got it out, and I wanted to give you guys a side-by-side comparison to kind of show you why we went this route. All right, so if you look, every part of Tony's product is beefier. Just look at the base, look at the size difference, right? The thickness of the material, the knuckles themselves. These are serviceable knuckles. These aren't. Look how big, much bigger the knuckles are here versus here, right? The spline, if you can see right here, this is where it stops. So you really only get that much in. You're gonna get so much more in there. We had to take the dust boot off. That took a little while, so I used a pick tool to get that off. That was holding the drive shaft in, but man, it feels beefier. It's an altogether higher and much better quality product. It's definitely heavier, but that comes with the the beefiness of the product. So we shouldn't have anything snapping. So now we're gonna let's reverse this and get this thing back in. All right. Yeah, give me a second. All right. So before we can put this thing all the way back together, we wanna get in here and clean out the old material that was in here. Following Tony's instructions, one thing that I did not hear him say of using any, and I didn't see him use, was any spray chemical or anything like that. He used a wire brush or a pick tool to make sure all the crap was out of here. And this is a brand new wire brush, and there's some stuff in there, so you definitely want to get it out. It's some nasty stuff, honestly. So we're gonna work on getting this out so I can have two hands and then get back with you guys. Give me a second. All right, guys, we got it. And I'm gonna tell you, it was tricky. I'm not gonna hold you. Nothing I could have done with one hand for sure. And I don't know where it slipped down here. One thing I did do, I didn't take this one out, and it made a little bit more room. So when I took that one out, I had a little bit more room for it to slide into here. Then I was able to get the splines to line up and go in. The problem was after that was getting over this hump to get back here. So what I ended up doing was sliding the surface, this flat surface, back up on where it's supposed to go. There's a little groove that this thing slides into. And as you can see, it's on. We just got to put the bolts in now. So we're going to rotate it out, line the bolts, Loctite everything in at 27 meters. And then we will be done with this install. Y'all give me just a second. All right, guys, we are still under the car. And well, boy, no movement. Yes. That's a successful install. I am going to button up most of this stuff. And then we can close out, man. I got some takeaways I want to share with you guys. Give me a minute. We got it in. I haven't buttoned everything up because, well, I figure there's one more thing I can do while I'm under there. So I'm going to do that, and that'll be a separate video. But I didn't want to make this one too long. So I do have some takeaways, right? First, getting the drive shaft out. You got to be prepared for the wheel spinning, right? I have the car off the ground. If you have tall enough ramps and you can pull the car up on 4 ramps, you're fine. I have to be a little bit more strategic because my car is off the ramp, so the tires were spinning. So you gotta figure out how you're gonna wedge it to keep it from rotating. And you can't do one tire, you have to do both, right? So if you're gonna wedge the tires, you have to wedge 2. That's one. Number 2 is getting it out. Getting it out was a whole lot easier than putting it in. Let me just say that. But I also want a preference with the one hang up that kind of made it felt like it was harder to get out, and that was the dust boot that's on the back end of the old drive shaft. It holds pretty tight, and whatever material that they put on the drive shaft, it's pretty sticky. So when you're cleaning it out, that's number 3. It's gonna leave your hands pretty nasty. I actually went through and hit every spline one by one with a pick tool because when I was using the brush just wasn't good enough. Number 4, putting it back in. Putting it back in was much harder than I expected. Because you have more splines on the other end, you have more clearance that you have to consider sliding that drive shaft forward before you can get it back in. Now, it's possible, I did it, but it wasn't as easy as I thought it could be, right? Of course, Tony has done probably tons of these things, so it's a whole lot easier for him. So he makes it look a whole lot easier. For a novice, somebody that's never done it before, you're gonna be challenged a little bit. So it's all good, but we got it in, and that's the win. For anyone that's looking to do this, it's a great drive shaft. I mean, it's better than the factory. Tony put a really heavy-duty product in, and it's really not that hard to do. It takes a little time. You do have to be conscious of the bolts that you're pulling. Like most of the bolts on the pan were regular hex bolts. But when I got to the drive shaft, that is an E12. It's an E12 hex torque bit. So you have to be conscious that you can't put a regular hex on that drive shaft. You have to get the E12. What else? And I didn't have any, so I had to actually go and get some. What else did I want to say? Other than that, it was not a hard install. Like all the panels went back the way they were supposed to, no problem. The hoses in there nice and tight. It's gonna take the M to another level, man. I came up with a name for M. So I went to BMW dealership. I actually went there to get just some novelty stuff, like the little oil holder. For all us BMW guys, I'm a BMW guy now. A BMW guy. Turning wrenches the whole nine. But anyway, they have a little oil bottle holder. I went to get that, and I went to get actual oil because, you know, these things, they deal with consumption, right? So I went there and I was looking around, and what I saw was a Pegasus. I can't remember what Super Bowl it was, but I'll put something up about it. But they ran a Super Bowl BMW ad. BMW ran an ad during the Super Bowl, and they had Pegasus as a big deal, or a mascot. We got Zeus, and we know that Hercules was Zeus's son. And who did he ride on a daily basis? Yeah, man, he rode Pegasus. We got Pegasus. So no longer do I just call it M, call the BMW M. We're gonna start calling the BMW Pegasus. So yeah, man, we got that brown on the inside, like saddle, like we riding on horses. And this thing's a beast, so it definitely flies. But listen, man, y'all know how we do, man. We don't do the normal around here. No. Why is that, man? Because we were designed from greatness. And because we were designed from greatness, guys, you have the right, the responsibility, and authority to never be average. So, guys, don't be average. And remember, man, freedom ain't free, guys. Yeah. Oh, before we get out of here, man, you know, there was a big old thing that happened in my city, in New Orleans, during New Year's Eve. I heard a lot of people, and I saw the ads, pray for New Orleans, pray for New Orleans, pray for New Orleans. New Orleans gonna be all right. What you need to do is pray for the family of those people that got killed and injured during that foolish ordeal. Don't pray for New Orleans. New Orleans gonna be all right. New Orleans is an inhabited object, if I said that right. New Orleans survived hurricanes, Katrina, Betsy, Camille, you name it. New Orleans gonna be all right. It's the people that we need to pray for. Remember that. Prayer ain't for just the city. And that's all the people. I get it. It could be all the people in the city. That's good. But we need to pray for the people that were affected by this senseless act. So make sure you guys, man, pray for those families of those people that were lost. New Orleans gonna be all right. All right? Now that ain't average.